I visit with Renaissance man Rich Monson. I'm your host, Rick J., and this is Spotlight on the Arts.
That was pretty good. Well, Rich, I would like to say that you've developed, and I understand, your own design system.
Yeah.
Yeah, design, you can, when you teach, they say, and I tend to agree, you don't teach art. You can't teach art, but you can teach design, because design is a conscious process.
I see.
Art is part conscious and part, who knows, spiritual,
Right.
whatever.
And you developed this a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
35, 40 years.
And I'm still working on it a little bit, because
Uh-huh.
there are lots of systems, of course.
Right.
And I'll show you a dialectic system here.
Oh, I
and
see
I'm
now.
going to find out his personality based on his likes regarding this dialectic system that I've got rigged up here. I've got red and green, okay, that's opposites.
Okay.
I'm going to find out your personality.
Oh, super.
Yeah. And so, what I want you to do, forget that white there, is tell me when you think this is an ideal proportion. And one that's acceptable, and maybe one that's not acceptable. Okay.
Now, that includes the larger piece of green?
Yes, the larger one, focus primarily on the two pieces of green. Okay, we're going to close in on the red,
Uh-huh.
because we don't want exact opposites.
Oh, I
Because
see.
exact opposites,
Uh-huh.
that's another problem. Okay, so when we have a design, is that ideal there?
No, I'd go back, open more up. I'd go a little bit more up, kind of like a broad, about another quarter inch. I like that right there.
That's a good proportion?
Yes, I think
Okay.
so.
Yeah, okay. If you had said this, I would put you in my camp
Ah,
as a bashful person.
I was a bashful person. Uh-huh.
But you're not a bashful person, and we knew that, but I found out.
You found out for
Based
sure.
on-
I was endorsed.
I have two personality tests that I do based on design, and that was just fun. It's just fun.
Yeah, well, so that kind of brings it into the conservatives, the liberals.
Oh, those are systems.
They nurse you up.
Now, what is a system?
Yeah.
Well, a system is something we use in order to narrow reality down to where we can understand it.
Oh, I see.
And
Yes,
it's not real, it's a synthetic, it's a concept. So if you say, okay, we have a two-party system in the US, Democrats and Republicans.
Yes.
And you have them, let me make I went to the trouble of getting some high-priced paper here,
Uh-huh.
because when I was a kid, we didn't have paper. And so you have Democrats and Republicans.
Uh-huh.
And that's the two-party system. Is that real? No, because we have people outside the system. We have people in here that are not Democrats, in here that are not Republicans. They're independents. So it's a dichotic, it's a two-party system,
Oh, yes.
but it's not real.
Oh.
Real. Nonetheless, you can play with the system, and you say, well, where is the best place to be on this system?
Yes.
Is it on the far right, and we have nobody countering it? No, that's probably not too good. Or is it on the far left? We have nobody countering it on the far. No, the best place is somewhere in here, the most comfortable,
Yeah.
the most serviceable
I
position.
see. Uh-huh.
And that seems to work, alternating between this one stronger than that one. And doesn't matter too much unless you're very political,
Oh, I see.
which side is it. Now, do you want both of them here?
So
No.
that's kind of like in the middle of the conservatives and the liberals, I guess.
Yeah.
In the middle.
And then what do you have out here? The extremes, and they're not part of the system. They fall off the system.
Oh, I see.
And so if you have a system that's supposed to do what the government needs to do,
Right.
then you have to be in here somewhere. Otherwise, you get into chaotic wars and so
Oh,
forth.
I see.
Now, with regard to design, these are this fine
In the
paper.
art form,
Yeah.
I guess.
What is good? If we had the chiefs, for example, and the chiefs are dominant, and there's not much of a competition, that's not a good game to watch.
Oh, I
right?
see. Ah,
If you have one touchdown after another touchdown, or more realistically, no touchdowns, both of them playing on the 50-yard line, that's not much fun either to watch.
no.
The best games are the ones where there's certain amount of dominance on one side and competition on the other side.
Yes,
And
yes.
so that's the kind of system I'm talking about. It's just a matter of what works
Well,
comfortably.
and then.
But it's not a rule.
In the art realm, then basically we have the primary colors
Mhm.
that can be addressed to that same system.
Exactly.
So your yellow, blue, red.
Well,
mhm,
yellow, what is yellow? Blue and yellow.
blue and green.
I'm sorry. Red, you have red and green. And if you have red and green, you have three colors, because blue and yellow makes the green.
Green.
So
Better, mhm.
that's why I lean toward a three-part system.
Oh, in your over formula of setting up your canvas,
Yeah.
you formulate that from this system. What have
And
you?
that's what we have here.
And that's what we have here.
We have green and red, and
Yes.
some yellow, but it takes yellow to make the green.
Right.
But the dominant is blue and yellow. The accent is red. And if you have a picture like this one, where yellow actually is the dominant that holds it all together, and that makes the gold. And then there's some blue here, and there's blue in the blue in the sky. Then how do you counteract all of the direction going here, going this way? Well, you do it with the accent. The accent is red, and where is it? Clear over here. So you get a kind of what they call an occult balance, with the red balancing the thrust to the dragon. And it's kind of interesting how that's been played over the years. But the most common setup is to have a blue dominance, a yellow intermediate to make everything greenish in the
Oh,
landscape.
yes.
And then somewhere a little bit of red, with a little farmer down there with a wagon,
Right.
with a red coat on or whatever.
So
And that's
the
pretty
ideal dynamic,
typical. Here you have a picture of
there's a good example, yeah.
where you have blue as a dominant and yellow to make the greens, and then the accent is the flower. Here's one that I think is not working. They have too much of the opposites.
Okay.
Too much red, too much green. Here's one where you have an unusual dominant,
Yes.
but it does seem to work. The dominant is clearly red. There's some yellow in there, and then the green
Yes.
is in
Gray
there.
down
So
green.
that's another aspect of the formula, if you want to call it. I don't use the formula when I'm painting, and I didn't use the formula when I was teaching painting, except during the critique, because the critique is where something ain't right. Something's
Right.
not right. We don't understand why
Unbalanced.
why it's not working, and you go to your formula.
So, well, I guess one system becomes another. Taste changes with your saturation, your style. You get fed up, I guess.
That happens, well, like I said with the painting, I got tired of doing ones that I thought worked,
The shape of
and I
space.
wanted to do one that was ugly.
Oh, I see.
Lo and behold, I succeeded. I'm jumping to society in general,
Yes.
what happens in a culture. But if you look at the Doric, simplicity, Ionic, and
right.
Corinthian,
And Corinthian.
you've got the trip right there.
Well, explain those three.
The
Just
Doric is a
sort
simple
of-
capital, and it's simple form. This is what they came up with. A kid would have come up with it. You got to have a post, and then you have a little bit of a cushion, and then you got your lintel.
Oh.
Okay, great. Wonderful form of construction if you're using masonry. And so then, well, that's a little bit plain. Let's do something with it. So they made a curlicue out of the Capitol. And that was nice. That's good.
That becomes iconic?
It did.
Oh.
And then finally you have they got tired of that plainness. The Doric is sort of way out of style. So they do this busy one they call Corinthian.
Corinthian.
And so that's the trip that style takes.
Right.
You
From
go
Doric.
you could start with the Renaissance. The buildings were square.
Yes.
Then you go into the Baroque, and the entrance becomes the whole damn game.
Right.
You know, and it's very ornate.
It becomes
And then you get into the Rococo, and you can't add anything more. It's all there. So that's the trip that takes. And culture takes the exact same trip. And I had so much fun talking about this.
And so I guess you're through painting altogether?
No, but I'm through doing these things.
You've went to what I see in front of me. It looks like computer parts, smaller stuff, I guess.
Yeah. My son is into electronics, and he brings stuff over, and I just find it fascinating. And so I've got a whole slew of parts that come off a computer. So I play around with those, and made my wife a necklace and earrings.
Beautiful. You're currently working on a couple of pieces of sculpture made with disassembled computer parts, piano and organ, and what have you.
I took the church had an organ, and then later a piano, and nobody would take the organ. It was just outdated. So I took it apart because the parts are just so exciting. And you realize one thing, that these things are engineered like nobody's business.
Oh, wow.
You know, you take an organ or a piano, and wow, somebody spent a lot of time engineering it and then putting it together. And so I got all these parts, and I've got two pieces that I'm into now. And
you have a name for this series you're working on?
oh, yeah, they're organ transplants.
Organ transplants. Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a walk, Rich, and show us your progress, if you will.
Be happy to.
All right.
We have to bundle up because it's a little chilly out there.
Okay.
And so here we go.
Action.
Join us now as we head to Rich's shop.
Yeah.
You'd like to try a lot of things, I see.
Yeah, I got started doing a particular kind of subject matter, and they wouldn't let him not.
So some of the advantages of teaching, you don't need to send ruts. So it's not really winning the contest in your opinion.
No, that's another topic that I am not sure about.
And we're looking at one of your sculptures here, a close-up of it. So this is mainly concrete.
Mostly base, and that actually is aluminum. We had a foundry here that I made a connection with in Warrensburg, and I would make the material, the sculpture, out of styrofoam, and take it out there, encased in dampish sand.
They have a name for this one?
I call it Blind Jim, but I don't know.
Blind Jim. I see the 2 eyes.
Someplace there. Yeah. And I like the way moss grows on it and so forth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. That's a good color.
That great big one out there is empty. It has a hole through the middle. and birds sometimes build nests in it. I think that's kind of neat. I had it out where I had climbing waves. So the waves will feed
So it's very in the summertime where the roads are finding that would be great. He wants to use a walking stick on it. He's fell 3 times in the last week.
Oh,
Can't tell him to stay off the ice.
here we are. This is what I call a shop. This is where I do some sculpture.
Join us now as we take a tour of the sculpture, looking at different workings that he's working on. So, Rich, I'll follow you.
Okay, I'll get my little walking stick and
Sure.
here we go. Try to kick some junk out of the way so we can get through here.
Sure.
I haven't had time to clean it up very good, so we just kind of take it the way it is.
Well, you know, Rich, we've seen a broad use of your materials. You said you just simply enjoy them, and
Yeah.
is there more to that, or a common
Yeah.
theme or philosophy that binds those together?
Some of my favorite material is most available.
Like,
And
those are your tools,
yeah, I like to just work with what comes to me actually, and see what can be made out of it. I see no point in buying brand new things when there's stuff around that works just as well, and you can make things with it. Concrete's one of my favorite materials. I like concrete because it's just made out of rocks and dirt and so forth. The most exciting stuff I've gotten into lately is the material from these organs that I took apart and piano. And like I said, it's amazing how the complexity of these units are. They're just beautifully manufactured. Hours and hours and hours of work to make a piano. It's just unbelievable that they could even make them well enough and cheap enough to be able to buy one. And so when you take them apart, you get a kind of a new respect for the people that engineer them and make them. And so I want to try to figure out what could be made from those. And so these are going to be made or partly used for these 2 sculptures here. But I got enough material for 100 sculptures. And I don't think I'll live long enough to use all the material. But it's fun. And the thing that I try to avoid is making the sculpture look too much like what it's made out of. Mm-hmm. What I want out of the sculpture is, wow, what is that thing?
Oh, I see.
And what is that thing is a good question, because these are sculptures that have been underway quite a while, and I've always had the title for them, and the title has been Hold On Noah, something like that. It's based on these critters that are trying to get on the ark.
Oh, I see.
And Noah looks at him and says, "Oh, no, I don't think so. You got to hold here. I got to talk to the guy upstairs." And so that's been the theme. So the story behind them is that they're from somewhere else. They're not from here.
Uh-huh.
But this one right now, he's trying to fake it. And he's going to have some antler horn and some old deer skin.
It looks like the feet are impressive.
Yeah. Well, this is my welding. I do a pretty good job of welding when I get down to it. but I did have a problem there. My oxyacetylene welder does a pretty good job, but this one's going to have some, and he's trying to pretend like he's an earth critter, so he can get on the ark, you know.
Oh, yes.
Noah's just not going to let anybody on the ark. It's got to be a certain person,
Oh, especially
quality person. But he's going to be so transparent. He's going to have some computer stuff on
Oh, I
it.
see. That's where you get into the computer back.
Yeah. Decided we could build a house out here.
Okay. We'll follow his lead. There's some more of this stuff goes on. Right, you go out and set wood for 40 minutes.
This is the main entrance. We go in from down here, and then Joyce probably in here somewhere. So, just kind of do a quick walkthrough. And hello. There she is. There she is. This is kind of a Pullman kitchen.
Hi, Joyce.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
It's a bit cold out there.
Just a little bit. You feel it?
I think it's melting out there.
Yes, it is.
Well, come in and sit a minute. Well, you can't stay long. Well, here we are, and this is where we did probably the most labor of the whole house. We were going to, the design that I had figured out had us building with stone masonry. Well, where did the stones come from? The bulldozer just dozed them down the hill here.
Oh,
So all we had to do was to break them up. That was part of Joyce's job, and bring them back up here. And we were going to build it stone all the way to the roof,
oh, wow.
like a big stone wall. Well, I got up about this high, and I said, "Oh, we're not going to build it to the roof. We're going to build it up a ways and stop. Put lumber on top of it."
Excellent. So
And
beautiful.
so, what you have here is what I call my hurricane wall. It's she corrected.
House 55 years.
55 years. Well, let's,
So anyway, that's about it.
okay, well, let's move on. We're going to visit the church in Chilhowee. I want to thank Joyce for joining us. The other part of this foundation, you might say,
Yeah.
that you've established over the years. And so thank you very much, Jen.
Thank you for doing this.
Okay.